and loved Bible accounts, along with that of Noah's Ark and David and Goliath, is the story of Joseph and his coat of many colors. Joseph's life story affords many valuable lessons and applications, yet there is also a prophetic aspect to the account that foreshadows the Messiah himself. There are many fascinating parallels, more than 100, between Joseph, beloved son of Jacob, and Jesus, the Son of God, who would arrive on the stage of human history centuries later. Here are just a representative few.
Number 1, beloved of his father, Joseph. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children. Genesis 37:3.
Jesus, this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Matthew 3, verse 17b.
Number 2, envied and hated without a cause. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more, they hated him. Genesis 37:4.
The chief priest had delivered him for envy. Mark 15:10. They hated me without a cause. John 15, verse 25b.
3, a root out of dry ground. Joseph. He was the son of Jacob's old age. Genesis 37, verse 3.
Jesus. He, Messiah, shall grow up before him like a root out of the dry ground. Isaiah 53, verse 2.
4, he foretold that one day he would rule. Joseph. Your sheaves stood and made obeisance to my sheep. Genesis 37:7.
Jesus, ye shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Matthew 26, verse 64.
5, accused of being a dreamer, beside himself deluded. Joseph. And they said to one another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Genesis 37:19.
Jesus, they said, he is beside himself. Mark 3, verse 21.
6, sent by the Father to seek the brothers' welfare. Joseph, go, see whether it be well with thy brethren. Genesis 37:14.
Jesus, I will send my beloved Son. Luke 20, verse 13.
7, went willing and sought till he found them. Joseph, and Joseph went after his brethren and found them. Genesis 37:17.
Jesus, lo, I come to do thy will, O God. Hebrews 10, verse 9. He came unto his own. John 1, verse 11.
8, rejected and condemned to die. Joseph, they conspired against him to slay him. Genesis 37:18.
We will not have this man to reign over us. Luke 19, verse 14. But they cried, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. Luke 23, verse 21.
9, stripped of his clothing. Joseph. They stripped Joseph out of his coat that was on him. Genesis 27, verse 28.
And they stripped Jesus, and they stripped him. Matthew 27, verse 28.
10, thrown into a pit. Joseph. And they took him and cast him into a pit. Genesis 37:24.
Jesus, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Matthew 12, verse 40.
11, sold for silver in the hands of Gentiles. Joseph. They sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites 20 pieces of silver, and they bought Joseph into Egypt. Genesis 37:28.
Jesus, and they bargained with him, Judas, for 30 pieces of silver. Matthew 26, verse 15.
12, raised from the pit. Joseph, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit. Genesis 37:28.
Jesus, he rose again the 3rd day according to the scriptures. 1 Corinthians 15:4.
13, became a servant. Joseph. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Genesis 39, verse 1-2.
Jesus, I am among you as that of 7. Luke 22, verse 27. He took upon him the form of a servant. Philippians 2, verse 7.
14. Everything he did prospered. Joseph. And the Lord made all that he could do to prosper in his hand. Genesis 39, verse 3.
Jesus, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Isaiah 53, verse 10.
15. Resisted temptation. Joseph. The temptation of Potiphar's wife. Genesis 39, verse 7 to 12.
Jesus, for such as high priest was fitting, who is holy, harmless, and undefiled, separate from sinners. Hebrews 7, verse 26. He was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. Hebrews 4, verse 15.
16. Falsely accused. Joseph, the Hebrew servant whom thou hast brought unto us, came in unto me to mock me. Genesis 39, verse 17 to 18.
Jesus, at the last came two false witnesses and said, Matthew 26, verse 16.
17. Numbered with transgressors. Joseph, and Joseph's master put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. Genesis 39, 20.
Jesus, and they crucified him and the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Luke 23, verse 33.
18. Promised deliverance to a condemned man. Joseph, yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee. Genesis 40, 13.
Jesus, though today thou shalt be with me in paradise. Luke 23, verse 43.
Foretold the future accurately. Joseph, and it came to pass as he interpreted to us. Genesis 41, 13.
Jesus, now I tell you before it come, that when it come to pass, ye may believe that I am he. John 13, verse 19.
20. Provided to be a great counselor. Joseph, for as much as God hath shown thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Genesis 41, verse 39.
Jesus, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor. Isaiah 9, verse 6.
21. Promoted to honor and glory and given a new name. Joseph, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee all over the land of Egypt. Genesis 41, verse 41. Also, Genesis 41, verse 45.
Jesus, God also thou highly exalted him and given him a new name which is above every name. Philippians 2, verse 9.
22. All people commanded to bow down to him. Joseph, and they cried before him, bow the knee. Genesis 41, verse 43.
Jesus, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow. Philippians 2, verse 10.
23. Provided for all in need. Joseph, and all the countries came to Joseph to buy grain. Genesis 41, 57.
Jesus, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger. John 6, verse 35.
24. His people did not recognize him. Joseph, and Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew not him. Genesis 42, 8.
Have I been not such a long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me? John 19, 9. But their minds were blinded. 2 Corinthians 3, verse 14.
25. His brothers were troubled when they met him. Joseph, be not grieved nor angry with yourselves. Genesis 45, verse 5.
Jesus, they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn and shall be in bitterness. Zechariah 12, verse 10.
26. Allowed his brothers to suffer a period of tribulation. Joseph read Genesis 42, verse 6 through Genesis 44, verse 34.
Jesus, it is even the time of Jacob's trouble. Jeremiah 30, verse 7. For then shall be great tribulation. Matthew 24, verse 29.
27. Revelation and reconciliation. Joseph, I am Joseph, whom ye sold. God hath made me the Lord of all. Come unto me. Genesis 43, verse 3 to 9.
Jesus, and so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, and shall turn away from ungodliness from Jacob. Romans 11, verse 26.
Thank you.